Bienvenidos a la conferencia magistral Vender su destino y negocio en tiempos tumultuosos, en el marco de Expo Foro Virtual de Turismo Global. Hoy tenemos la posibilidad de contar acompañe, sea parte de este y brinde a las tendencias de consumo solicitadas por los potenciales turistas. ¿Ahí se me escucha bien, Graciela? Anita, no sé si se me escucha bien. Bien, ok, perfecto. Bueno, también nos acompaña obviamente Kristen del equipo de TripAdvisor. Bienvenida también Kristen, bienvenido querido Steven. Y Ana María Vizcasillas, que es nuestra moderadora de lujo, nuestra amiga. La vamos a presentar a ella, Ana María. Ana María es consultora internacional, es la presidenta, fundadora y principal visionaria de la empresa Business Tourist Services. Especialistas en consultoría estratégica para organismos de destinos y empresas en la industria de reuniones y turismo, siguiendo altos estándares mundiales. Como miembro de la Junta de Directores de la Professional Conference Management Association, PCMA, Ana apoya la visión global de esta prestigiosa organización en la profesionalización y sensibilización en la industria de reuniones y eventos de negocios. Es socia y actual vicepresidenta de COCAL, además de miembro del Business Recovery Task Force Apex COVID-19, del Events Industry Council, EIC. Fiel creyente en labor esencial de DMOs, burós, colabora como asesora consultiva de la Asociación Latinoamericana de Burós y además Ana lidera exitosos proyectos como Destination Next, Organization Next para Latinoamérica y el Caribe y colabora con la empresa MGI Next Factor como consultora ejecutiva. Pasada Past President y CEO del Buró de Convenciones de Puerto Rico, ahora Discover Puerto Rico, Ana María también es uno de los pocos profesionales en Latinoamérica y el Caribe que cuenta con la prestigiosa calificación CDMA, única en el mundo para profesionales del mercado y gerencia de destinos. En el 2007 fue reconocida con el IMEX Academy Award para las Américas, Salón de la Fama, y recientemente fue galardonada con el Industry Achievement Award de World Meeting Forum. Bienvenida, querida Ana, bienvenido Stephen, bienvenida Kristen. Gracias por acompañarnos.
Muchísimas gracias a ti, Silvana. It's a true pleasure to have these wonderful colleagues joining us this afternoon. Recuerden, amigos que nos están escuchando, que hay dos maneras de escuchar esta conferencia. Los que la quieran escuchar en inglés se van a la sala que dice inglés en la plataforma, y los que escuchen o gusten hacer uso de la traducción en español pueden ir a la otra sala donde pueden entonces hacer uso de la traducción. Tengo el honor, Steve, if you allow me, I will do a poetic justice of your introduction, but I will do it in Spanish because you know it in English. Estamos muy honrados de tener en la tarde de hoy a nuestro gran amigo Steve Paganelli. Paganelli tiene algo en común con muchos de nosotros. Ex visionario, ex líder de DMOs en los Estados Unidos y colabora ahora con la empresa TripAdvisor desde 2013. Tiene más de 30 años de experiencia en la industria de viajes y reuniones, como les comenté, incluyendo periodos como presidente y principal oficial ejecutivo de 2 DMOs en los Estados Unidos y también lanzando una división digital para DMOs. En la actualidad comparte del tiempo que le permite TripAdvisor. Él es miembro del German National Tourist Office Advisory Board, el consejo asesor de la Oficina de Turismo Nacional de Alemania. También es miembro del Consejo Asesor de Destinations International para la certificación CDME, la cual tiene ya hace algunos años. También él dirige el Consejo Asesor de los Partners, los aliados para Destinations International, y participa del Consejo Asesor para el Puerto Rico DMO, Discover Puerto Rico. Estuvo en el board de Destinations International, de la Asociación de Nueva Inglaterra para CVB'S y de la Asociación de Hoteles de Connecticut, del estado en los Estados Unidos. Numerosos premios que hablan de su creatividad y de su compromiso con nuestra industria, entre ellos el Adrian Award del HSMAI, Hotel Sales and Marketing Association International, y muchos otros premios que lo distinguen. What an honor to have you with you today, Stephen. Allow me to speak briefly in Spanish. What are we going to do? Nosotros le vamos a pasar el micrófono a Stephen, pero nos acompaña hoy alguien muy especial para TripAdvisor y para nosotros en Latinoamérica. Kristen Bonner. colabora con la empresa TripAdvisor como Destination Marketing Manager, y ella es, como quien dice, nuestro gran contacto en Latinoamérica, y no podíamos tener esta sesión si no teníamos a Kristen con nosotros. Así que lo que vamos a hacer es que Steven nos va a compartir su visión de cómo hacer negocios y cómo vender en estos tiempos tumultuosos, y entonces Kristen nos acompaña en Q&A. Just share with the audience how we're going to do the flow, where you're going to share with us your views on how to actually do business in these tumultuous times. And then we're going to go to the Q&A session where Kristen will join us in, and we encourage the audience to ask us questions. Recuerden, amigos, que en la plataforma hay una sección donde nos pueden hacer preguntas. Las preguntas las pueden hacer en español, las pueden hacer en portugués, las pueden hacer en inglés. Queremos sus preguntas. With further ado, Steven, we couldn't be happier that you are here with us today. We really believe your background in DMOs, you know our pains, you know our successes, and you know a lot of what's going on. And now the mic is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. And I'm actually going to kick us off with a short video. So hopefully everything works as planned.
It's terrible. 3 travel hacks to share with you guys.
So many people are wanting high fives today. I just seen the guys hitchhiking in Byron Bay. That's where we're going. I'm gonna give him a lift. You're coming from Mexico. That's legend.
Hola, hola, hola.
Because
Hola,
people really should
hola,
and
hola.
do
Listo,
trust the reviews that are on TripAdvisor.
This is so crazy good. Let me just give him a hand here. Wait, this is disgusting.
Well, thank you for letting me join, and thank you, Silvana and Ana Maria, for the warm welcome. Buenas tardes.
Hola.
Good afternoon, everyone. To say these
Chicos,
are tumultuous times
hola, hola, hola.
would be an understatement. Yet, throughout this crazy year, there has remained cause for hope, signs of positivity, and consumers' unrelenting passion for travel.
Steve?
Yes.
Hold that wonderful passion thought, because I think we're going to need you to restart again. Silvana,
Okay.
¿nos están escuchando? Silvana? Yeah. I have the platform, on the other computer, and I heard the video completely, but not you. Amigos, ¿nos están escuchando? Aunque this is being recorded, so we're still okay, but we want to make sure. ¿Nos escuchan, amigos?
Sí, sí se escucha, Anita.
Perfecto. Steven, here we go. Because I think we're going to need you to... Here we go.
Yeah, I missed Ana Maria. Where would you like me to start from?
No, go ahead. From the very beginning, go ahead.
Without the video, though.
No, without a video, exactly.
Great. All right. Well, thank you again, Silvana and Ana Maria. Buenas tardes, and good afternoon, everyone. To say these are tumultuous times would be an understatement. Yet, throughout this crazy year, there has remained cause for hope, signs of positivity, and consumers' unrelenting passion for travel. As Ana Maria noted, I have the privilege of leading the destination marketing team for the Americas for TripAdvisor and supporting destinations across the globe in their quest to welcome travelers from near and far. The questions and answers portion of our time together will be led by my colleague, Kristen Bonner, who has managed our work across Latin America for the past 8 years, and having lived here for a portion of her career as well. Over the next 40 minutes or so, and the question and answer period that follows, we'll provide a brief update on TripAdvisor, share our latest insights on the travel trends and traveler intentions impacting Latin America. We'll review our tips for marketing during these unique times, highlight some of our newest initiatives, and close by revealing some new insights on holiday travel. It's been a 20-year journey for TripAdvisor, and the spirit of optimism and generosity of travelers continues to drive us today. It's hard to argue with the outsized impact that TripAdvisor has had on the travel industry and travelers from literally every corner of the world. But as we headed into our 20th anniversary year, our focus was as much on charting a new path for the next 20 as it was for celebrating the achievements of the first. TripAdvisor has helped billions of travelers take better trips while supporting deserving businesses and enhancing communities. And as part of that focus on the future, we're redoubling our dedication to building an inclusive culture that champions diverse perspectives, experiences, and voices. The people that make travel the unique and special experience that it is. TripAdvisor is the uncontested preferred travel guidance company around the world. Millions of people generously share their travel experiences with each other, empowering other people in their decisions for trips big and small. And with a global footprint, we're in 190 countries across the globe and in 28 different languages. Whether reading reviews on local restaurants in your neighborhood or looking to cross the ocean and explore the world, TripAdvisor is wherever consumers need us. We're the go-to guide for modern travel planning. Before the coronavirus pandemic hit the world, TripAdvisor had set out on a journey to truly understand who we are and what we mean to travelers, consumers, and the world at large. Over the course of the last 18 months, that journey traversed geographies, functions, and demographics. We learned a lot, but what stood out is that while TripAdvisor is well known, it is not known well. We have a responsibility to help our travelers plan their best trips. And we need to stand for something, and found ourselves at a revolutionary crossroads in our brand history. Today, we're proud to say we've established a new brand strategy, a worldview that gets right to the heart of who we are, and a comprehensive solution strategy to ensure we pay this off at all endpoints. So let's take a quick look with one more video. We believe there's good out there, and now more than ever, we have a responsibility to guide people to it. During this crisis, we've seen extraordinary acts of kindness from neighbors, communities, and countries. And if you've followed us at all, you've seen, read, and heard us touting those good examples. As we continue to venture out of our homes more and more and travel again, we can spread that generous spirit and pay it forward on a global level. Among the initial rollout of our new brand have been out-of-home placements at airports, subways, and metro centers that bring a new sense of whimsy to our brand. And great brands create great ecosystems and change the way we interact with them. They don't stick to their lane, conform to the rest. They are industry-defining and powerful, meeting people where they are instead of waiting for people to come to them. And this is what we strive for. And I'm delighted to introduce you to our new redesigned website on the left. Hopefully you find it big, bold, and beautiful, and a small sneak peek at our new app debuting later this autumn. We're building an enhanced and superior people-powered trip planning experience. And because of that unique ecosystem, we reach travelers at every stage of the travel planning journey, creating opportunities during these tumultuous times for you to stay top of mind among travelers as they dream about traveling again, begin to plan that next or maybe first trip in the time of COVID, onto the final stages of destination, air, lodging, attraction, restaurant, and even car rental selection. Through experiencing your destination and business, and perhaps most importantly, building your army of brand champions to help spread the word about you. Our global audience is almost evenly divided between male and female, underscoring the joint role families are playing in travel planning, and a development important to consider in your own messaging and targeting efforts. It's no longer just about influencing moms. Dads, kids, and multi-generational planners are all involved in the decision-making. And forgive the US-centric reference, but with just 50% of Americans taking a trip that involves an overnight stay, that's right, just 50% of us take an overnight stay over the course of the 12-month period, TripAdvisor over-indexes significantly for high household income and education levels. Perhaps most critically, our user base is strong across every generational category, with a whopping 74% under the age of 45. The quality and the consistency of our user experience instills trust with consumers, and that trust extends to the brands that appear on TripAdvisor. Let's turn to some specific insights on the Latin American market. The first thing to note is that 53% of respondents indicate they'll do more research before their next trip post-COVID, providing you a potentially longer runway to convince travelers to choose you over your competitors. Beware though, there's a bit of a disconnect between what travelers tell us in surveys versus the actions we actually observe them taking on site. And we'll take a look at that dichotomy momentarily. We saw the bottom of our traffic decline due to COVID on March 29th. And since then, it's been a steady climb back, with traffic up 231% since the worst point. Beyond being the world's largest travel platform throughout COVID, our traffic remains 4 times larger than our next closest non-Asian competitor. And it's worth noting that roughly 15% of their traffic comes through us first. Starting with international trends. Bucking most global trends, estimated foreign bookings in Latin America grew by 393% in August versus the year-to-date low back in March. Estimated foreign bookings were up 26% month over month and 139% versus the second quarter of this year. Make no mistake, there's a long way to go towards recovery, but the momentum is positive. As we're seeing in most markets globally, booking windows are contracting rapidly in Latin America after having extended significantly early in the pandemic. Now down 24 days versus the prior 2 months to 72 days, or about 2.5 months prior to arrival. We attribute this to the continued volatility of government travel restrictions and greater confidence among travelers to make near-term decisions on travel rather than having to rely on a fairly faulty crystal ball that can't provide the certainty that will permit travel confidence for points further out. Though the rates don't differ significantly, we do see growth in interest and consideration of accommodations and restaurants slightly outpacing that of attractions for foreign travelers. And in another trend bucking global norms, Latin America is seeing much higher traffic on TripAdvisor to accommodations than to attractions and restaurant content. For comparison, in the US, accommodations garnered just 34% of foreign consideration, practically on par with the 32% and 33% respectively for attractions and restaurants. Globally, accommodations see just 1% more than the US at 35%, with attractions at 27%, so 1% higher than Latin America, and restaurants a significant 38%. Across the world, the top attractions in nearly all markets are national parks or other prominent outdoor sites. And the same holds true in Latin America, capturing 31% of all attraction interest among foreign travelers. Interestingly, amusement parks increased their share of interest by the highest margin, 34% among all attraction types. Let's turn briefly to domestic trends, which has been the lifeblood for many destinations around the globe. Like many tourism destinations, travel intent is strongest among local residents, and that's driven largely by cost and convenience. And that's only become more true during the pandemic. Various factors in addition to cost and convenience contribute to this trend, including, again, travel restrictions imposed by governments, decreased flight capacity, and continued uncertainty around travel protocols. Another bright spot for Latin America is the significant increase, 826% in August, compared again to March's low, in estimated domestic bookings. Estimated domestic bookings were up 60% month over month in August and 407% versus the entire second quarter of 2020. As we saw with foreign booking windows to Latin America, booking windows for domestic travel are also decreasing, if not quite as precipitously. The challenge, of course, comes with forecasting and managing your ADR and RevPAR if you're a hotel, as 86% of August bookings were made for the immediate future, August and September dates. This underscores the importance of being present in market when travelers are making very quick decisions about when and where to go and stay, often in the week or weeks immediately leading up to their departure. Counter to foreign travelers, for whom attractions slightly trailed accommodations and restaurants, attractions are virtually equal in the traffic they garner relative to accommodations and restaurants among domestic Latin American users. For hotels and restaurants, this represents an opportunity to forge partnerships with area attractions, to promote your proximity to them, and to share insights on developments at those attractions that may differ from pre-COVID, such as the need for advanced tickets or safety protocols that are in place and need to be observed. This is absolutely the time to be working together within the communities you're operating. Much better to be together than to try to go it alone. Looking at overall traffic versus growth, however, the story in Latin America is still stronger for accommodations than other sectors, and aligns more closely with the data that we saw for foreign travelers. As we saw with those foreign travelers, outdoors is winning the day among domestic travelers as well, capturing a staggering 41% of all attraction page views. Varying from those foreign travelers, however, zoos and aquariums posted the highest gains here, up 48% month over month. So let's turn to some marketing best practices and opportunities that the data and insights we've reviewed present. Early in the pandemic, TripAdvisor defined 5 phases through which nearly all of us would pass, with the potential, as caseloads waxed and waned, for markets to move forward and at times back through the phases. Here in Latin America, the region has one foot in the emerge phase, while another is fully in the domestic phase, with some toes even dipping into international. In many markets around the world, that domestic phase has been marked by concentric circles of travel. First, venturing out within our own towns and cities, then out within our own states and provinces, and then to surrounding states and provinces, continuing further and further from home. What's unique to Latin America is the stronger foreign consideration and visitation that we discussed earlier. As we see travelers emerge from the dreaming phase into traveling again, it's incumbent upon destinations and travel providers to help instill confidence. This is especially true for meeting and convention organizers as well, where protocols can vary by locale and must be communicated early and often to meeting professionals and to delegates that they're trying to attract. This is also where managing your reputation is especially critical. Sharing the steps you and your community are taking to ensure the safety of your visitors, and by extension, your residents, where a backlash has been seen in many parts of the world against the return of tourists. As we look more deeply at the length of bookings for Latin America, we see that domestic trips booked 1 to 7 days in advance and 90+ days out are the most popular. So what steps can you take to position yourself to capture these two very different types of travel planners? Well, two options include incentives for those who are booking close in, and travel confidence building, assurances about your practices and safety for those 90 days out. We'll take a look at both of these in the upcoming tips we'll review. And during this portion of the presentation, in addition to those marketing tips, we'll also be reviewing some action steps you can take directly on TripAdvisor. Another boom that we're seeing among travelers is a greater propensity to travel longer. As the logic goes, if I'm going to take the perceived risks of traveling, I'm going to make it worthwhile by staying a little longer. This is another great example of an opportunity to help travelers easily see how they can fill those extended days through the myriad options your destination offers. Now that we're well armed with the most current insights specifically impacting Latin American travel, let's explore our first formal tip. Research has continually shown that customers are more likely to be domestic and potentially to be road tripping. Before building a plan, it's a good step to evaluate the customers you have now because they may not be the same as before. Feeder markets, length of stay, and advanced booking windows are all likely to shift from the norm. Across many markets, we've seen subtle but important shifts. In some cases, competitive destinations travelers are considering are further away. In others, where perhaps previously second-tier cities were among the considerations set for your visitors, it may now be first-tier cities. Also, what are new reservations telling you is important to your visitors? Spending time with family as measured by the party size, being in the outdoors, etc. A lot of these insights can be accessed through your management center on TripAdvisor or through your contacts such as Kristen. Consumers are currently focused on shorter trips to destinations closer to home. And we've observed a recurring theme around travel with family. Perhaps a little counterintuitive given how many are working from home and sort of trapped with family 24/7. Nearly 2/3 are open to new experiences, and a similar percentage indicate a desire to get off the beaten path. How can you help travelers see your destination or business from a fresh perspective? Tip number 2, once you know who your travelers are, you can begin building plans around how to reach them and appeal to them. The emphasis today is paying closer attention to understanding traveler objections than previously. Those things that will keep them from choosing your destination or business, and then creating and communicating the policies, campaigns, and messaging to counter those objections. Safety measures, guest-friendly cancellation and rescheduling policies are really important. And be sure to get the word out about them on your website and on sites like TripAdvisor. Safety will remain top of mind for guests for the foreseeable future. So be sure not to overlook that as part of your marketing strategy. Travelers tell us in overwhelming proportions that increased frequency of disinfection of high contact equipment, policies encouraging employees to stay home when sick, generally on a paid basis to avoid a counter incentive to doing so, and staff wearing personal protective equipment are all of high importance. As part of our Travel Safe initiative, launched in June, you can add this and more details on your safety practices and complete other updates within the Management Center. Simply visit tripadvisor.com/owners. Then select the banner on the homepage. Just a heads up, you need to be a registered, verified representative of your business. If you're not, the page provides instructions on how to update your no-cost verification. Be sure to add your safety measures and include a detailed response of anything not covered in our list. Also, as your strategy evolves over time, remember to return to this page and make those changes. And just remember, safety measures don't inspire travel. They are a box travelers need to check before selecting your destination or business over another, and before traveling with confidence. So just be cautious about letting the pendulum swing too far in that direction in your messaging. On to tip number 3. Timing is essential in the current traveler landscape. While you'll have more time to influence selection by those planning 90 days out, as we saw earlier, shorter booking windows are dominating. Key here is not to wait until you're in the domestic phase, and to instead go where travelers are searching now. More than half of travelers indicate they'll do more research than they did pre-COVID. And as we'll see in a few minutes, 41% of travelers tell us they've already started planning their holiday travel. While you don't want to ignore higher funnel tactics entirely, with large portions of travelers still sitting on the sidelines, this is probably not the ideal time to be focused on the mass market, but instead, carefully investing your marketing dollars where travelers are already showing interest and an intent to travel. And forgive the shameless self-promotion, but it's worth repeating that trust is more critical than ever. Who trusts you most? Past visitors and guests who are part of your mailing list, fans and followers on your social channels. Start with your existing relationships and build from there. In these examples, we see destinations promoting the wide open spaces travelers are seeking, providing itineraries for road trips, and simply using the language of travelers to create a direct and emotional connection, focusing as Costa Rica does on balance, being uncrowded and unspoiled escapes from the stresses the world has really created for all of us in 2020. And for now, while travel continues its slow march to recovery, don't forget to provide information to our travel community about the latest and greatest things occurring within your business and destination. On to tip 4. Create offers that appeal to those tried and true fans and past visitors that we just discussed, while also creating a hook for new visitors emerging from this changing travel landscape. For example, many destinations and businesses for which families or in-state travelers may not have been a focus have pivoted and seen success from these previously non-traditional audiences. Not to sound like a broken record, but don't overlook the importance of your safety measures to seal the deal. Though in many studies I've seen, deals are rated as a lower influencer of selection, our surveys have continued to show that travelers are roughly 35% more likely to be influenced by these kinds of offers. TripAdvisor data shows packages, % off rates, and special room rates as being the most successful. This has also been very successful on the meetings and conventions front, reducing rates for virtual meetings and driving up participation and attendance as a result. Critical if you're a business operator is being cautious about how aggressive to be with such deals, so as to minimize any negative impact on ADR and revenue per available room. With regards to those booking 90 days out, you have a new responsibility as well, preserving that booking. Consider timed, sequential email messaging that showcases how the destination, your property, or your event is doing, and showcasing things that continue to create excitement for the upcoming visit and or meeting. 95% of respondents say they want to hear more positive messages now. 81% want more heartfelt stories. And again, don't let them fool you. As I said earlier, 3/4 still want to hear about discounts. Mitigating cost of acquisition is more acute for businesses than ever. And our Business Advantage offerings put millions of potential guests nearby and across the globe, one click or call away from booking directly with you. Sponsored placements represent another low-cost option to appear above search results and on other high-profile shopping pages, while also promoting your safety measures, direct rates, and booking links. The sponsored placement links directly to your listings page, showcasing your direct rate, while taking users upon click directly to the booking function on your own website. We're also excited to introduce a new optimized ad layout to help drive even more direct bookings. Your direct rate is the only option displayed within the ad. All other meta advertisers, including OTAs, are suppressed. And if you have Business Advantage, your direct contact links will be prominently shown. This single offer treatment carries through to your listing page as well. Let's turn to tip number 5, leveraging your guests' recent experiences to appeal to new visitors, whether through review collection or creative methods to encourage them to share their experiences across their social channels. Now more than ever, brand champions can be a vital extension to your own efforts, and they provide the powerful value of imminent recent experience that they've had within your location. Travelers have long placed a high value on the opinions of other travelers. And in preparing to launch our Travel Safe initiative, they specifically cited asking travelers about the safety standards they encountered to increase the value of the review content that they rely on. Be sure to check out the free review collection tools accessible through your management center to collect, monitor, and respond to traveler reviews and questions. These active travelers deserve as much, if not more, attention than the passive ones you're building through your other social efforts. As we saw after increases in travel in May and June, the market remains volatile and can regress. Have a plan A, a plan B, and even a plan C. And be sure any strategies you implement or partners with whom you work allow for flexibility. Too many are the stories I've heard from advertisers who found themselves unable to pause or cancel campaigns as COVID struck. As we've learned or relearned the past few months, the only thing constant is change. Largely through the plateau phase, if you're just entering the emerge phase, now is the time to be sure you're in the game as travelers begin to search again. In the domestic phase, hopefully many of you are seeing travelers return. So be sure to collect new reviews as other travelers want to know about conditions on the ground now. And in ongoing efforts, throughout, pay close attention to how your plan is performing and be ready to pivot as needed, particularly as market conditions change. Let's turn now to some new initiatives representing potential opportunities for you now and in the future. A key focus for us is building distinct new traveler tools that center around the idea of travelers helping other travelers. One new solution, our first new app in years, launched this summer. Named Reco, the app connects travelers with travel advisors that can help plan distinct trips. Here's how it works. Travelers complete a survey about their next trip, and as a result of the type of travel and travel vibe they desire, they're matched with a trip advisor, or what we're calling a trip designer. Choose the designer, pay a fee to create your trip, and your designer will work with you on an itinerary, and if you like, book the complete trip just for you. Good for Guides are another new solution that will help us bring our worldview, there's good out there, to life by helping travelers more easily find what's good for them from people like them, with recommendations based on travel interests, motivations, and preferences. They'll also help businesses more easily demonstrate what they're good for, based on data tags reflecting real traveler reviews and insights. Our top 30% of businesses will be eligible for recognition as good for X, whatever that might be, stickers and site placements. And good for lists will be created by bringing together curated sets of these recognized businesses around travel interests and popular themes. We see these extending to meeting and convention destinations as well. Making sure the customer experience pays off on our strategy at all touch points is paramount. So we're taking this into all of our product plans, including a complete overhaul of our app experience. We're effectively revolutionizing the TripAdvisor app, building it with a user in mind, completely redoing the design, and finding distinct places to elevate people-powered planning and guidance from travelers like you. Today, the app remains the #1 travel app. And finally, under the topic of what's new. It's never been easier to reach the 460 million monthly travelers who use TripAdvisor globally each month. TripAdvisor Media Manager is the new simple way to create, manage, and optimize your own ad campaigns. Buy on your own terms with investments starting at just $500, with the flexibility to choose the audience, budget, and ad formats that work best for your brand objectives. With holidays fast approaching, we wanted to understand the current climate and how it's impacting consumer plans around travel. While we see a sharp decrease in those definitively saying they'll travel for the holidays, we only registered a 10% increase among those saying they definitely will not, with a solid 26% still open to being influenced to travel. Looking at more of a cross-section globally, Italy and Japan are the only two markets that didn't see an increase in a definite no, with most other markets tracking pretty closely to one another. The big obstacles, a slight majority still just don't feel comfortable enough. Just 1 out of 5 cite economic factors as a reason to stay home. So again, that big obstacle is building traveler confidence that they can do so safely and effectively. For those traveling, domestic travel looks to be positioned for a 14% increase year over year, while international travel sees an almost equivalent decline of 13%. Perhaps most encouragingly, among those who did both domestic and international travel for the holidays last year, nearly 1 in 5 anticipate the same level of both. If you're a business, this is a great place to start. Who visited you last year, and have you invited them to return yet? Comparing the types of travel and non-travel plans around the holidays between 2019 and 2020, there's a significant 41% increase in those who plan to spend the holidays at home. However, every category sees year-over-year gains, including traveling to visit family and friends, up 15% year over year, taking a trip with family and friends to a destination that isn't one of their homes, up 7% year over year, and an 11% gain in those who plan to travel alone this holiday season. The fact that all of these total more than 100% reflects the fact that travelers expect to take multiple trips during this holiday time period, representing another great opportunity. Another bright spot is that travelers show a propensity for longer, medium-length flights of 4 to 6 hours than they've indicated since the start of the pandemic. They're also citing greater comfort with longer distances for road trips than we've seen up until now. Together, both point to growing traveler confidence and illustrate the pent-up demand that's often been discussed over the past couple months. It's probably fair to say a majority of consumers look forward to the holidays most years, and we're seeing strong indications that's even more true given the challenging year we've undergone. 2/5 of travelers indicate the holidays are more important to them than they've ever been. And one more shameless plug, they also indicate they're 60% more likely to use TripAdvisor than other travel platforms. Now, of course, that's our survey, so you may want to take that with a grain of salt. And as we discussed earlier, the time to be in front of travel intenders is when they're showing intent. And 41% report having already spent time researching holiday travel plans. Another strong opportunity for Latin America is that key attributes of the region align perfectly with what travelers tell us they desire. They're 73% more likely to be touring a new city that they've never experienced before. 48% more likely to be seeking warmer climates and hitting the beach. And 21% more likely to be in the outdoors and hiking. Reinforcing earlier topics, when asking specifically about holiday travel, we see discounts, health and safety, and cancellation policies serving as the greatest catalysts to drive conversion. And again, just because travelers say they're not traveling for the holidays, that doesn't mean they're not open to weekend getaways, with travelers indicating they're 25% more likely to be interested in weekend itineraries. So before I turn things over to Ana Maria and my colleague Kristen, I want to leave you with a few parting thoughts. The slow, steady build to recovery is already underway. So try to be where travelers are with your messages of inspiration and clear calls to action. Focusing on domestic makes sense now, but again, Latin America is already seeing better foreign interest than many other parts of the world. So capitalize on that. Consider special offers to help move travelers to action, but be cautious with how robust to make those. Consider A/B tests to see whether the fall off at lower levels of offers is significant enough to warrant offers that are more costly to your bottom line. And while you shouldn't ignore higher funnel tactics, you likely want to consider allocating a higher ratio of your investments towards low to mid funnel skewing efforts to where travelers are showing interest and intent. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you've been able to take away a few pearls of wisdom that perhaps you can quickly put into action to strengthen your destination and business. And now back to you, Ana Maria.
Muchas gracias, Steven. Very enlightening. I want to first start off by asking you, when you are coming all the different numbers that you presented, these are all potential possibilities as well for Latin America. Is the audience getting this? Is this correct, right?
That is correct. Much of the data that I presented is specific to Latin America and the experience that we're seeing there.
No, excellent, excellent. We can stop sharing your screen, I believe. And then we're gonna go with the first set of questions. Y Kristen, te tenemos aquí, y con el permiso de la audiencia y con el permiso del traductor, vamos a jugar con el inglés y el español. Kristen, if it's okay with you, I will ask the question in English. You can answer in Spanish, but that way, Steve, you are seeing the questions on the chat, and then we can add anything. Makes sense to everyone?
Sure does.
This is a big family, and I'm learning to ask these questions and ask for forgiveness of the translators. Enjoy very much your comments on TripAdvisor and the fact that in our communities, Steve, and as you know, Kristen, many of our DMOs, CVB'S, are engaging a lot more on bringing meetings and conventions to their destinations, whether they are regional, not necessarily national, but more international. So the audience was very keen on seeing how, from a meetings perspective, do we engage more with TripAdvisor. Really enjoyed your tips about building trust, building confidence, engaging with the guest, using your guest as the best voice and storytelling that can be out there, which can go for meetings and tourism, and telling that story in a way that shows that it's real, right? And it shows the values for the destination. And really also appreciate your thoughts and the views of TripAdvisor on the benefits for Latin America with this pandemic. Latin America is opening later than the rest of the world. However, now is the time to showcase what we will have available when the clients can come, because you mentioned they're looking new cities, nuevas ciudades. They're looking for beach, which playas, we translate that to beach and nature. And Latin America tiene una naturaleza maravillosa. And they're also looking for warmer destinations and the hiking there. So with further ado, let's get on to the questions. A los amigos que nos están escuchando, pueden escribirnos sus preguntas en la plataforma. Kristen, first question. Can CVB's DMOs work directly with TripAdvisor to further enhance their sales and marketing plans and initiatives as companies, individual companies, and the CVB's? Can they work directly with you at TripAdvisor?
Sí, primero voy a hablar un poquito sobre destinos específicamente, porque eso es, nuestro equipo gestiona la promoción de destinos en todo el mundo. Entonces, eso es nuestro puesto, es para trabajar con destinos. Entonces, si estás en un destino, sí, ustedes pueden utilizar la plataforma en muchas maneras, en actividades de promoción, nativas, en contenido, en promoción de advertising también. Entonces, eso es realmente que Steven y yo hacemos. Entonces, si es un destino, nuestro equipo es donde tiene que contactar. Entonces, ustedes tienen nuestro contacto y si necesitas más información específica, puedes contactarnos directamente. Con respecto a preguntas sobre como CVB'S, yo recomiendo que estás trabajando y hablando con los hoteles y los partners en su destino para asegurar que esos hoteles están utilizando todas las herramientas que Steven ha mencionado. Por ejemplo, la iniciativa de seguridad. Es muy importante asegurar que todos los hoteles cerca de ustedes están listando las iniciativas que están tomando de seguridad. Eso es muy importante. También yo recomiendo que Ana María mencionó que América Latina es un poquito detrás del resto del mundo en forma de recuperación. Entonces recomiendo que están mirando qué otros países, otros mercados están haciendo en forma de recuperación. En TripAdvisor especialmente, si tienes tiempo para mirar a hoteles y atracciones, restaurantes en TripAdvisor, qué están haciendo en forma de mercadeo y promoción de recuperación.
Perfect. So what you are sharing with us is wonderful. The CVBs, the way for them to work closer with TripAdvisor is through the partners that are using TripAdvisor at the destinations. And since the CVBs are the ones that create the narrative and the story on how to sell the destination, if I got you correct, then the CVBs will follow up with their different suppliers to make sure that there's one voice in the messaging. Obviously, businesses have to do their own story, but when it comes to speak about the destination, they can definitely join forces. That's very, very interesting because if you open a possibility, because normally everyone goes to the CVB, what can I do? And now is the CVB saying, help us in the commercialization. That's wonderful. Second question that we have, any practical examples to support and involve the development of meetings and business events through TripAdvisor? Remind you, Steven, that yes, we are opening later in some destinations in Latin America, but Mexico, it's already open. It depends on the mood of the Department of State if they are in the red alert, but sorry for our friends listening, I don't pay attention to those red alerts. And then we have Costa Rica that also has already opened, and we are hearing from Colombia, we're hearing from Panama, and other destinations that are opening. So in that respect, when it comes to meetings and business events, is there any particular example or practice that you suggest CVB's involved to use the platform of TripAdvisor to showcase facilities or abilities for services? Because meetings are gonna start small, 10 people, 50 people, 75 people. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Kristen, let me know if you want me to jump in there or if you want to.
Yeah, Steve, if you want to start and I can go after you, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah. So there's a couple of initial steps I think that a DMO can take specific to the meetings and conventions business. If you are a provider or service provider in the meetings and convention space, many of the businesses that support meetings and conventions can actually be listed on TripAdvisor. So the opportunity to begin to collect review content from actual meeting delegates exists today, and hopefully some have already done that and are already doing that. We also conducted some research with the Center for Exhibition and Industry Research last year. Because
SEER, right? SEER?
Exactly. Yes,
SEER,
correct.
okay,
SEER,
perfect.
Which honestly, we didn't know what we would learn out of that study, but we always had a suspicion that meeting planners use TripAdvisor. But because you're not required to log into TripAdvisor or identify the reasons you're using TripAdvisor, it has historically not been an audience that we've been able to target on TripAdvisor. What the study verified is that, in fact, meeting planners are using TripAdvisor, quite surprising to me, more than any other digital platform. And they served all of the expected suspects. I won't name names, but you know, many of the platforms that I've always assumed are the dominant ones. So first is that step of starting to collect review content for service providers. I think the second thing, on a meetings and conventions specific execution with a DMO, for instance, we do have the ability to see whether any of our existing review content for that destination references that someone was part of a meeting or convention. And then that gives us the ability to use that content, that review content, to help the destination tell the story about their effectiveness as a meeting and convention destination. The most critical piece, and I think it really is the piece that this question gets to the heart of, is being able to target that meeting planner, that meeting professional, or to target that convention delegate, that prospective attendee. We have some ways of doing that, but in full transparency, they're not yet perfect. We're having some discussions with some of the meetings and conventions providers that frankly have the large databases of meeting planners to be able to create targetable audiences within TripAdvisor. And so that has actually been put a little bit on hold because of COVID, because as you know, unfortunately, meetings and conventions are taking some of the biggest hits, and business travel in general. But that is definitely something that we're looking to pick up in the first quarter of 2021, and where we definitely see opportunities. But we do have destinations that run campaigns that are very targeted to sort of that business professional, that meeting planner, by using some third-party resources.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Kristen. Sí.
Me gusta añadir que para estas herramientas que Steven está hablando sobre, para negocios que ya están listados en TripAdvisor, yo recomiendo que visiten tripadvisor.com/insights. Yo voy a escribir eso en el chat, pero eso es como un blog que tiene muchas artículos y información para ayudar un negocio en el proceso de implementar una página muy robusto en TripAdvisor.
Muy bien. Kristen, me estás viendo moviéndome porque estoy escribiendo acá en la plataforma porque estamos usando nosotras el chat interior. Amigos, a los que nos escuchan, Kristen nos comparte que si toman nota y pueden entrar a tripadvisor.com, caray, yo con mi Spanglish, slash, porque slash en español, en mi idioma boricua, insights, INSIGHTS, en confianza, pueden entrar ahí, pueden aprender cómo poder usarlo. This is wonderful. We just wanted to ask a few more questions. I know we're about to run out of time. Silvana, I see you there. Do you have a question, Silvana? She's marvelous. She always has wonderful questions. ¿Tiene preguntas,
me encantaría
Silvana?
poder, me quedé con muchas teníamos en la plataforma, pero estamos en los tiempos. Por tanto, le vamos... Perdón.
No te preocupes,
Hola,
tranquila.
¿me escuchan mejor? Estoy con un
Ahora
problemita
sí.
de micrófonos, como habrán observado, pero lo estamos tratando de resolver. Estamos con
Queremos
un tema
respetar
de
los tiempos.
Les vamos a transmitir las preguntas a Stephen. La verdad que la presentación ha sido impresionante con la cantidad de números que nos ha brindado. Por favor, yo te pido que se lo transmitas a él, si sos tan amable, en mi nombre. Así que te espero para que lo traduzcas. Pero decir también de que toda la audiencia que desee hacernos las consultas las vaya volcando en la plataforma o a través de los emails, porque se las vamos a transferir a Kristen y se las vamos a transferir a Steven, ¿sí?
Perfecto.
Creo que...
Sí, excelente. Steven and Kristen, big smiles for both of you. The audience has been sending quite a bit of questions, but we're running out of time and we want to be respectful of the next conferences. So if you allow us, we would like to send you the questions via email, and then that way we can respond to our audience. And in addition to that, we have gotten a lot of queries about the wonderful data that you share today. And we're going to have on a repository your expose of today so that people can review it again. And I'm happy that we do that, and that way they can communicate with you. We are very, very thankful for your support, for your interest in Latin America, knowing that TripAdvisor, I was blown away. You are the #1 advisory board for Latin America. Me parece, Silvana, que con lo que comentó Steven, y con esto cerramos, TripAdvisor se ha convertido como que en el consejo asesor de Latinoamérica, porque es donde la gente más está poniendo sus experiencias. Creo que eso tiene muy buen valor para la asociación, y con eso,
Lo mismo,
thank you so
lo
much.
mismo me pasó como Ana María, me he quedado sorprendida. Creo que son oportunidades que se brindan para los CVB'S de Latinoamérica. Kristen, gracias. Nosotros tenemos un grupo de WhatsApp donde hay 230, si no me equivoco, 15 referentes de la industria en Latinoamérica en ese grupo de WhatsApp. Por lo tanto, ya Ana María fue volcando algunas de las placas de las oportunidades que tienen los CVB'S de Latinoamérica para poder presentar, digamos, las oportunidades que tienen sus destinos con la plataforma TripAdvisor. Les cuento que mientras ustedes las presentaban, yo ya me descargué la nueva versión, tenía la versión de la app viejita, así que acabo de descargarme ya la app, y estoy muy feliz de ya poder empezar a surfear con la app de TripAdvisor. Muchas gracias. Gracias. Si quieren palabras finales, Steve, Kristen, Anita.
No, for my part, we thank you. Allow these few minutes for Steven and Kristen to have some departing thoughts. With our hearts, we thank you, and we embrace your time.
Gracias. Thank you so much for allowing us to join you today. We look forward to answering the questions that come in through email. We will, as you mentioned, Ana Maria, share the entire deck that we reviewed with all of the data. You know, again, I think there is cause for hope, as I said at the beginning. I think that Latin America has a lot of advantage going for it in terms of what travelers are seeking. And I think the future, you know, it may be hard to see it at the moment, but the future really is bright. So it's a pleasure joining you today.
Sí, muchas gracias por todo, y yo tengo ganas de visitar la región, entonces vamos a hacerlo muy pronto, yo pienso. Entonces,
Así será. Muchísimas gracias, Silvana. Pasamos los micrófonos y les agradecemos a todos por su participación en esta tarde, y no se vaya nadie, que tenemos sesiones buenísimas. Silvana.
Sí, no se lo pierdan. Seguimos con la próxima sesión, tiene que ver con innovación y tecnología. Matthew Foch de Truly 360 by Google junto a Simple View. Así que están presentándonos ellos sus herramientas tecnológicas. Y espero que con TripAdvisor podamos sentarnos a charlar con la asociación de CVB'S, como lo veníamos haciendo con Kristen, para que se sumen como aliados estratégicos a la asociación. Te pido ese último mensaje para Steven, si sos tan amable.
Claro que sí, Steven. The association wants to continue the conversations they had started with wonderful Kristen on an opportunity to collaborate. There's 230 CVB'S within the chat for the region, and the association sees great potential, and they would like to continue with the conversations with you and Kristen.
Absolutely. We look forward to that. Thank you again.
Thank you.
chao.
Muchas gracias, no se nos vayan, que continuamos con el panel de innovación y tecnología que viene en unos minutitos nada más. Muchas gracias, hasta luego.
Chao, gracias.
Gracias.